It's like magic.
Tim, look, we're there. Hi, everybody.
I'm Tim Moss.
And I'm Wendy Stuart, and welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, how are you? You're looking fabulous.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Well, you don't look so bad yourself. I have to share this with everyone. I'm going to share this with you first. I had the most incredible thing happen. You know, I tell everybody, support your local bars, support your local businesses. We're here today, of course, at Pangea Restaurant, which is now 35% on the inside, serving on the outside. They're going to have a new bar menu. So please come. But what I have to tell everyone, so I was at Rock Bar before I went to Stonewall. And all of a sudden, I hear my phone starts dinging. And it was in my back pocket, and I'm ignoring it. And I'm getting ready to leave there, and I take it out, and I have all these text messages from people. Did you mean to go live? Go live? What are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
So in my pocket, while I was saying God only knows why.
Right? Especially at Rock Bar.
My phone was recording my butt. But here, no, but this is the worst part, okay? Who gets 99 views? I don't even get that on half the stuff I send out that, you know,
the
I really
intentional ones.
Right, that I really think about putting together that's good. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, 99 views of my butt.
For her butt.
It's dark, but anyway, life goes on. How was your week?
Well, good, but I just want to say at Pangea, so that's where we're at now. They have a GoFundMe, which is actually right down here. So please, if you are so moved, please, they're a small business in the East Village at 178 Second Avenue. And that's at Second Avenue between 11th and 12th. And they have outdoor area, and it's just a wonderful place. A great menu. The food is good. And soon they're going to have entertainment again. So
it's all happening. You know, as we're all hearing, more people are getting vaccinated. Things are loosening up a little bit. We got to be careful. I have two vaccines, two of them. But come and support Pangea. We love this place. They have been the home to so many performance artists, performers, musicians, and they've been here for all of us. We need to be there for all of them. Thanks so much. So, oh my God.
Hey, Nancy Kuharski, my bestie, is on.
Tim's bestie's always show.
Yeah, she and Michael and I went out to brunch while she was here.
Oh, so it's so perfect that she's on today.
And Skip is on from DC.
Hello. Oh, that's my friend Skip. Hi. Oh my God. We're like an old home week kind of show. We're like, hey.
And Michael Penny, who wrote and directed Junk, the movie I star in. He's on.
Love Michael Penny. Hi, everybody. Now, Tim can see that. I can't see any of
I have to say that they're not tuned in for me or for Wendy, I don't think, but they're here for our incredible guest.
Our incredible guest.
Yes, he's a very good friend of mine. I just love and adore this man. One of the smartest people I know. He's like a walking encyclopedia on so many different subjects.
Well, the Advocate called him a historian for the gay community, and I would say
Absolutely. Please welcome the wonderful Michael Musto.
Yay! Hi.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yay! I'm being vaccinated below the waist. You can't see it right now, but it's being taken care of.
That's great. I can feel your antibodies coming right through the screen.
Oh, they're just all over my pores.
How are you doing?
Well, I haven't heard about this COVID thing you people keep talking about, so I'm
a denier. I
don't know why somebody doesn't talk about it on the television. You know,
somebody's going to talk about something. Michael, thank you so much for coming on today. You know, I don't even know where to start with you. I really don't. I printed out reams and reams and reams of stuff on you, and I've known you personally. We came to I love saying came to New York. I came from the Bronx. You came from Bensonhurst, right? But we came into this city and started moving and shaking at the same time. So can we start with
go right ahead.
Michael, you grew up in Brooklyn, and it amazes me when people come from a borough and they just come out and they burst out and they're dancing to their own drum. What was it like for you growing up there?
Well, let's start at the very beginning. I was a waiter at the Last Supper. My social security number's 3.
Yeah.
But I ended up as a kid in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, which at the time was a very old school, traditional Italian-American residential neighborhood. Gay was not on the radar. It's not even homophobic. It just didn't exist. Nobody even imagined about it. So when I grew up and knew I was gay, because I watched not only Tarzan, which had this hot actor Ron Ely in a loincloth, but there was an episode where they had the Supremes, Diana Ross's Supremes as guest stars. They played nuns in Africa, and that turned me the gayest man in the world. And I'm like, how am I going to get out of Bensonhurst? And I did. I went to Columbia in Manhattan, and you know what? You say Brooklyn's part of the city. It really is, now more than ever. Yeah. But Bensonhurst at that time was a different kind of the city. Manhattan to me was Oz. Manhattan was bright lights and theater and gays, and I noticed there was a whole LGBTQ community that was invisible in Bensonhurst. So I found my place in Manhattan. I belong here. I'm never leaving. Anyone who left because of 9/11, because of COVID, because whatever reason, fine. I'm sure you have your reasons. I'm not going anywhere. I can't drive.
Die hard. We're here for we feel exactly the same way. So
just real quick. And growing up in Bensonhurst, when after the Tarzan Supremes episode, when did you know or realize that you were gay, and how did you come out while you were in Bensonhurst?
Oh, no, I did not come out. Like I say, it was not something anyone talked about. Right. I was confused. You know, I was excited and titillated, but didn't know what it was. And when I looked, and this was, I would say, the late 60s. Yeah. That's a long time ago. But my parents had a textbook in the basement. And I looked up homosexuality, and it said it was a mental disorder. That's what it was classified as officially at that time. This was before Stonewall. Wow. So I was like, I knew I wasn't mentally ill, but I was like, I'm going to have trouble coming out in Bensonhurst. However, once I went to Columbia, I was almost immediately introduced to a world of happy gay people that were sophisticated, intelligent. They were not mentally ill. They were perfectly out and open. And I started making baby steps towards coming out.
It's interesting, Tim, because what he brought up about the borough, and you and we've been around the same time. You didn't really have to come out. Like, you just went to college in the city. You went to Columbia, or you went to City College, and you were just out. That's why when you talk about coming out, because Tim being from Indiana, you came out when you were in these other places. But I don't know, in New York, you could just be, and that's the beauty of it.
And you have to understand, my parents were old school. They're both gone now. I love them and they adored me. My father was homophobic at first. And my mother was a devout Christian. They wouldn't have had it. They wouldn't have had it. And I had to indoctrinate them very slowly through the years. I would take them to parties at the Limelight. My father
I was going to say.
My father danced with the Mandela Poor. I would bring friends home. Mark Jacobs came over for Christmas. And they just realized that they loved the queers. My parents were not homophobic at all. And a lot of the bigotries in Bensonhurst, including racism, were just talk. Like, minorities kind of talk against other minorities in a way. But when push comes to shove, it's like that movie Green Book. When the opposites came together, they realized we don't hate each other at all. We're kindred spirits.
Right.
So you went to Columbia University and studied journalism.
Well, they didn't have an undergraduate journalism major, so I had to major in English literature. It's like, what, huh? Did I ever use Jane Austen in my future career? No. But you have to study something. You have to major in something. And I took the graduate schools. I sat in on the Graduate School of Journalism's classes. Wow. And by that point, I was already writing for the school newspaper. I was a feature critic. I was writing for some outside publications. And I thought the graduate courses I sat in on were bogus because they were having fake press conferences and writing fake articles. I was already doing real articles.
I
love it.
Through graduate school, I did not need to go to journalism school. I was learning by doing. And when I came out, I did get some jobs, like 9-to-5 jobs to pay rent, and freelanced on the side. And eventually I was doing enough freelance to just be a full-time writer. And in 1984, I landed the column at the Village Voice, La Dolce Musto. That lasted for almost 30 freaking years.
I remember,
Right. But just backing up again, because that is a true talent and a true passion that you have for writing. And do you remember when that flame first flickered for your love for writing?
Well, as a kid, I was, first of all, an only child, which is very rare in an Italian-American home.
Oh, my gosh. In Brooklyn, yeah.
And another rare thing for Italian-Americans, my parents were fairly nonverbal. They kept their thoughts to themselves.
Wow.
They didn't talk a lot.
Mhm.
So I grew up kind of in a bubble. I didn't learn how to articulate my feelings, but I would watch movies on TV, or I would go alone to the neighborhood movie theater, the Walker Theater, and I would see movies for $1, movies that had crash landed because they were supposed to be terrible. I loved them.
Yeah, I remember.
And I would
saying-
come home and write little reviews just for myself on index cards.
Wow.
And I realized, oh, that's how I'm expressing myself, writing.
Uh-huh.
And back then, they didn't care how old you were. They would let you in. I saw as a kid a movie about the Marquis de Sade. Keir Delay as the Marquis de Sade, like flogging horses in slow motion. I'm like 7 years old. I'm like, whatever. I don't understand.
Whatever. But you know, it's like you were a visionary on your own future
Yeah.
because you ended up going on to write reviews of everything. And
Yeah. I
you
knew
know,
that was my future. You know why? Because I ended up loving performing. That was another form of expression.
Yeah.
And I ended up being in the school plays, and that helped get me out of my shell. And I won Best Actor in the high school saying I played the Arabian Merchant, which you couldn't do now. It's cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to balance the writing and the performing. And when I eventually got on television as a journalist, that tapped into my performing aspect. So I got to please all my
Right.
aesthetic choices.
Now, Village Voice.
Yeah.
That how did you arrive at the Village Voice and make such an impact? Did that come over time, or were you just like, I'm here, fuck all y'all, I'm going in?
A very big impact. In fact, it folded when I was still there. So no.
Imagine, right?
But I had done a few pieces for them in the early 80s. And in 1984, there was an opening for a sort of entertainment columnist. My predecessor was the late Arthur Bell. He was a brilliant gay columnist who not only wrote about showbiz, but he wrote about gay politics. I submitted a sample. They even paid me for the sample. Like, they paid me to audition, which I thought, oh, that's very professional. And I never thought I would get it, but I got it. They liked the fact that I was already plugged into all the nightlife, which at that point was burgeoning. I mean, there was Limelight and Danceteria and all these incredible clubs.
Yeah.
And Pyramid. And
those were like,
I was every night in the middle of all those scenes, and I couldn't wait to write about it. So my column became La Dolce Musto, which was about nightlife, also about movies, theater, cabaret, politics. I became gayer and gayer and more political as AIDS, because AIDS was mounting at that point, and it was a death sentence. It was not like now.
Right.
And in '87, I joined ACT UP, the activist group, to protest. So my column became more and more politicized, which made it more interesting. Half the people at The Voice probably thought, oh, he's good for the paper. The other half looked down on me. He's trivial. He's this, he's that. Whatever. Who cares? I'm famous.
Micah, so you brought it up. We had an AIDS organization in the 80s, Powers, Pet Owners with AIDS Resource Service. We took care of the pets of anyone that had HIV or AIDS. It completely impacted my going out. I realized I missed like from the late 80s into the mid 90s because I had so many people, 3 phone books of people die. Now you were out there. How did you emotionally handle that?
It was hard to balance the fear, the grief, the caregiving, the funerals, and the rage, because Ronald Reagan would not address it. Either he didn't know about it, or he willfully didn't want to know about it, or it was gays and IV drug users, so who cares? But that's why ACT UP was formed, to say, pay attention, government and media. And it was a brilliant way to channel everyone's feelings. We're all feeling the same way. And we're going through the same thing with COVID. Donald Trump just kept saying it's nothing. It's same baloney. The only difference is AIDS at that point was a complete death sentence. COVID is not. If you had AIDS in the 80s, you were going to die a grisly, pretty quick death.
You were going to die a skeleton 6 months later.
Right.
No eat around it.
Right. And the hospitals were not. I mean, I remember at St. Vincent's, they wouldn't even put the food in the room. They would leave it outside the door. There
was a lot of ignorance, a lot of fear.
Right.
You were doubly, people with AIDS were doubly oppressed because they have the illness, and then they're the Bible thumper saying, you deserve it, you're bad people, you're gay. And then there's the nurses who are afraid to even go near you.
And some of the families would just turn their backs on them and just
they would throw you out.
So, Michael, I have to tell you in particular, I admire you have rage sometimes. I admire your rage. No, I do. I've had this rage discussion with Tim. I have rage. Okay, coming out of what happened with AIDS, I was angry, and I'm angry about what came down with COVID. And I read your Twitter. I want to thank you for just calling it like it is. This will never be for me or for you a kumbaya moment. We'll never be able to find it. Right. And what happened in the last 4 years, what was allowed to happen is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even want to say what should happen to him for what he did. But as a writer, how incredible. You can write about it.
Well, for me to live so long that I've now seen 2 Republican presidents botch a world plague, totally botch it by acting like it's not important because it was inconvenient for them.
Yeah. And selfish and
funny how Trump ran and got the vaccine, and all these red states like Texas who it doesn't matter. They make sure that the red voters get the vaccine, but not the others.
Yeah.
There's so much hypocrisy.
So tell us, Michael. Well, let's roll into like some of the things you're doing now. I'd like to talk more about you as a performer because, truthfully, I always knew you from The Voice. I'd occasionally see you at parties. I would see you in outlandish costumes. Now that's like outlandish. Why am I even saying that? That's a teapot calling the kettle black. But it's unusual for someone that writes about other people, right? Usually to draw attention to themselves. So you do both. You write, you perform. Could you talk about your performance a little bit and the history of it?
Well, I'm in a weird position where I'm covering people who want attention. They'll do anything to get my attention, get noticed. But then I'm out there trying to get noticed too and get photographed. It's bizarre. It's a little sad. But it's a way of dealing with my shyness. If I could come out with a maraschino paper mache olive on my head, which I've done.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
It's a way of overcoming my inhibitions. And the thing about nightlife is nobody even says I love your olive because they're wearing one too.
Yeah. There you go. The olive is a great equalizer.
But I've always loved performing for the same reason. It takes me out of my shell. And if I have a script or a song, notes to sing, you can feel confident about it because you're not improvising. You're doing something somebody else wrote. And in 1980, I started a band called the Must, which, speak of Diana Ross, it was a Diana Ross tribute band. We did all Motown cover songs. And then just like Diana Ross and the Supremes, it became Michael Musto and the Must because I had a demo. And we played all over the place. We played gay pride rallies and just had a great time. And then I kind of gave up on that for a while and it started up again. I can't seem to get it out of my system. It's just so much more fun than writing.
Absolutely. Well, you belong on stage, definitely.
Yeah.
But once you started with The Voice in the 80s and the 90s, the nightclub scene, I mean, I don't know how to even explain what nightlife and nightclubs were like here in New York City in the 80s and 90s to these kids today. Right. They have no clue what nightlife was like between the Tunnel and Limelight and Studio 54 and all of those. Can you touch on that a little bit? And again, there was always celebrities there that would come out dressed outrageously and everybody just partying together and having a wonderful time.
You could talk to everybody. Talked to touch on that a little bit.
Well, guess what? This was before internet, so you couldn't just sit home or on your phone. This was before cell phones. So if you're at a club, you're not going, if you're going to a club to get picked up, you're not on Grindr. It's like, hello, look up, there are people. You actually had to leave the house and have social contact. And I started in the 70s going to clubs. Wendy, Studio 54 was the ultimate disco. The country was in a horrible shape. The city was in despair.
But I was a 54 girl, loved it.
Up like a mirage comes this like Brigadoon, Shangri-La, Studio 54, glittering, one-stop shopping for all your hedonistic needs. Right. And literally, you're standing there and there's Liza Minnelli. There's Michael Jackson. There's Dolly Parton.
Andy Warhol.
They're not protected. They're not surrounded. They're just there. They're accessible because once you got in, and it was not easy, you were considered part of a democracy on the dance floor. And then in the 80s, it became more about the downtown stars and, Diane Brill and all these fabulous John Sex's
I
people.
love her. I love
And
her.
there were huge clubs that had big budgets and they catered to the bohemian culture. And that was exciting in itself. In the 90s, it was a challenge because cuckoo Looney Tunes, Rudy Giuliani became the mayor. He decided that nightlife had to be stopped and he cleaned it up. He invoked old cabaret laws. If anyone tried to dance in a place without a cabaret law, he would raid it. He would shut it down.
Shut it down.
Mhm.
He shut down New York.
It became the town in Footloose. And that's not what New York should be. But it's amazing how resilient nightlife promoters are because Suzanne Barge kept going, Jackie 60 kept going, and we tried to keep partying just by Giuliani, raining on our parade.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the resurrection in Brooklyn? I'm sure you've been to a lot of the parties there. It's interesting, Tim, because you brought up the kids. They think their scene is just fine. They didn't know our scene. I've had a great time out in Brooklyn. Sometimes it's not all that different than here. And there's lots of big spaces. What do you feel about it?
First of all, I agree that if you're 20 and you're going to a nightclub or 22, you don't want to hear about any old club you never heard of before. It's the most boring. It's like hearing Granny tell you, in my day, it was better. Who cares? If you're young, that's when the nightlife is for you. And if it's your first experience of a club, it's going to be exciting. It doesn't matter what it is. And Brooklyn is very viable now. Like I say, it's part of the city. It's vital. And the real estate became so expensive in Manhattan that the clubs had to move to Brooklyn and the zoning became more accessible in Brooklyn. Yeah. But when people started saying Brooklyn's fabulous, you have to go to Brooklyn, I'm like, I waited my whole life to get out of Brooklyn. Now I have to go back. But I did. I went back.
That's right.
But now I think with Tim and Wendy, I'm predicting a renaissance for New York nightlife.
We're here.
For two reasons. One, whoever has survived really wants to get out there and socialize face to face. Two, there are a lot of empty spaces, sadly enough, but the rents are way down, and there are people willing to jump in and turn them into a fabulous club. It's going to be good.
They're much more open to trying new things and changing the regulations and all of that, like easing up on a lot of that too.
Now, who's going to say you can't open a dance club? Now there's so much desolation. Any life is going to be welcome at any income.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you were saying, with us having to go back to Brooklyn, that now we became the Bridge and Tunnel kids.
I'm a two-time Bridge and Tunnel because I was actually living with my parents after graduating college for a brief time when I was going to studio on the subway. And then now I'm like in Manhattan taking the subway to Brooklyn to go to House of Yes. Two-time Bridge and Tunnel.
It takes forever though on the subway sometimes. I'm usually in an Uber bitching and moaning the entire way.
Well, you're a rich, white, living large lady, honey. I ride my bike everywhere.
Well, and then because of that, you became known to a lot of celebrities and you started interviewing a lot of celebrities.
Well, in my voice column. And then in the 90s, I got on the Gossip Show on the E! Channel, which ran for 7 years. And everywhere I went for that whole period, celebrities would come running up to me and say, I love you on the Gossip Show. And whether it was Sarah Jessica Parker, Alec Baldwin. And I was like, oh, I'm one of them now. I'm a celebrity. Then you're reminded, no, you're really not. You just cover celebrities. But some of the best interviews I did for The Voice in the early days were like Liberace.
Oh, love it. Tell us.
He was just like on fire and he wouldn't come out. He never did come out.
Right.
And he was dying of AIDS at this point. Still rallying every energy and performing at Radio City. He came flying in on a big rope like Big Bird. He was incredible. And he told me a joke that had to do with like a female prostitute that had a big penis. And I thought that was his kind of nod to me because he had been told I'm a gay columnist.
He's like
his kind of I want to, we're in the same family. And I was like, that's pretty cool, even though the joke wasn't really politically correct. And then another one I loved was Zsa Zsa Gabor. She was great. And she was offensive, but a great interview because she talked about the lesbian matron at the prison. Remember, she had slapped a policeman and got in jail. And through the years, I always loved any time I talked to Joan Rivers. It was just like magic. And she always made you feel like you were the funny one. That was her genius. And I love Sandra Bernhard. She came out to me for Spin Magazine. She just came out to me and talked about dildo and my girlfriend. I was like, wow, this is hot. And Carrie Fisher, I loved. And she she was having a book party later that night. She's like, "Why don't you wear my panties?" And I was like, "What?" She ran into the other room of the hotel suite, came out with a perfume pair of her panties. I smelled them. And I just stayed home and wore them.
These are great stories.
I love that.
I've had some bad ones.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, have you had like difficult interviews with any celebrities or bad interviews?
One of the first for Soho News, which was before The Village Voice, was Carol Kane, who I love. She was on Taxi.
Oh,
Great actress.
She was nominated for Hester Street, but she didn't want to talk about her acting process. It's too personal. And I was like, okay, well then let's talk about your personal life. I don't talk about my personal life.
So what,
Oh,
We're
God.
like, all righty. How much time we have?
Nice meeting you. Bye.
And I also have a habit of perhaps sometimes asking a sensitive question. I didn't know Christopher Plummer hated The Sound of Music. I love that movie. I went up to him and said, "Oh, something about Sound of Music." And he looked at me like I was a decaying rodent and wouldn't answer. And then I looked it up and was like, he hated the movie.
Oh my God.
He called it The Sound of Mucus.
amazing. Wow.
How could you hate The Sound of Music? And there was another time with Patrick Stewart who I said, well, he was doing the movie Jeffrey, which was a gay movie.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I said, sort of half joking, well, how do you think the Trekkies are going to feel about you playing this role? And there was a weighted pause. And I was like, oh, shit, is he going to like hit me? And he just said, well, you know, I have quite a body of work besides just Star Trek. And I was like, I know. Yeah, I know you've done Shakespeare. And I just
along those lines, have you The Advocate called you a blogging bridge burner?
Well, I sort of was the original blogger even before there were blogs. My column was like a blog, and Perez Hilton has given me credit at kind of paving the way. He made it much bigger, but in a way, I was doing internet-y type stuff even before the internet. And the Village Voice was very internet savvy because they had us doing internet-specific items in addition to the print stuff. And then I was blogging. My last 5 years there, when I was under contract, was a weekly column, full page, plus blogging all day long. And it was a great way to break stories. You didn't have to wait for the next Wednesday's Village Voice to come out. That was absurd.
No, it's right.
Right,
It's immediate,
right.
much more immediate. So what we've heard is The Voice is coming back, yeah?
They're coming back as a website and a quarterly
Publication.
Cool.
Cool.
And it's been bought by the guy who owns LA Weekly, and I might do a piece. I'm waiting to negotiate on that. For starters.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, because I mean, what the Village Voice, just the name alone, everybody thinks Michael Musto.
Well, there are a lot of great writers.
There
There really were.
So now the photographs.
Photos, yes.
Oh my God, you have got.
We have a treat.
Well, you have some amazing photographs. And just real quick, I just kind of want to talk about, because as I was looking through those, I thought how that process has changed. Because photographs, they used to be, they would take the picture at a nightclub, then they would have to send it out and process it and get it back and then get it over, deliver it to the newspaper.
You would have to have a contact sheet.
Contact sheet,
Yes.
right? The contact
Of a
sheet.
million images, and then you would circle the ones you liked with a
You
green
look at it
pen.
through a
Yes,
loop.
right.
Right?
But
Then
I
they
mean,
would print them up. Then you would decide. It took all week.
right,
Yeah.
right. Just to get a photograph out. And now, I mean, you can't even walk outside without somebody taking your picture.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, it's terrible. Oh, I hate
Yeah.
it.
You hate every
Please
minute.
stop.
and it's up on the internet going worldwide in
People, I'm just going to D'Agostino's to get some mustard. I'm a human being.
yeah,
But yeah, let's look at the pictures. This will be fun.
Yeah, let's do
okay.
it. Yeah.
So we've got what is it called? I can't think of the word.
Montage,
Yeah.
collage,
Collage.
you know, it's a whole bunch of pictures.
Yeah, a
That's
bunch
what
of
it is.
pictures
It's
on
a bunch
one
of pictures,
screen.
and it's got cool people in
So
it.
we'll show some
Yeah.
pictures and pause,
Yeah.
and then you tell us what was
Okay,
going
it's going to
on.
be
How about
show
that?
and tell, Michael.
Yes.
We'll show you tell.
Oh, I was in a Fortune Off ad, and it was me, Dr. Ruth, and Sandra Bernhardt in wedding veils because it seemed like three people who would never get married. And this was
Oh my God.
this was before gay marriage, so this was a wonderful commentary. And they wanted me to keep a little razor stubble to make it kind of like I'm obviously a guy. And I thought it was really cool, and it was on every phone booth, everywhere you turned.
Remember it.
Right? That's so fabulous. Oh my God. So so who was it? Sandra Bernhardt, who?
And Dr. Ruth.
Oh,
Dr.
right.
Oh, this is.
Whoopi Goldberg was in The Color Purple, and she did some interview where she said, "Oh, I'm still living down the reaction I got to the lesbian kiss in the movie," and I didn't like her saying that. And I wrote something very high and mighty, and she wrote, "Don't get self-righteous." This is what people actually telegrammed. Can you imagine? Don't get self-righteous. Get a sense of humor. I don't want you to like me again. Whoopi Goldberg. I thought that was cool. That she cared enough, and that she cared enough to school me was very cool. This is Cynthia Heimel. She was a writer for the Soho News, then the Village Voice. She was my mentor. She had a column called Ms. Lonely Hearts in the Soho News. It was an advice to the lovelorn. And I wrote to her calling myself the Brooklyn Kid. It became a popular feature of the paper. And then she hired me to be a writer for Soho News. And we became lifelong friends. And sadly, she passed. But she wrote Sex Tips for Girls and a lot of other things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody you really learn a lot from, I imagine. No, I'm saying her.
Don't swallow. Yes, don't swallow. I used to have these crazy parties at the Tunnel, and this was a party for John Wayne Bobbitt, who, of course,
my God.
his ding dong was sliced off by Lorena, his wife.
And reattached.
And these are my parents. They got to go to these kooky parties, like I said, and John Wayne Bobbitt. And the food on the table was, first of all, like every table had a phallic piece of bread in the middle. And then when you got your entree, it was like a bloody piece of meat with two round potatoes at the base of it.
How genius.
I tried to do a theme back then. And look at my parents meeting John Bobbitt. I love this guy.
They're very low key. They're very cool, you know?
Very cute. Very cute. That's Sally Kirkland. She's a wonderful actress. This is
God, yes.
She had done the movie Anna, and she won the Golden Globe. She was nominated for an Oscar. She was on top of the world. And I love catching people at moments like this when it's pure euphoria and triumph.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's amazing.
This is a picture by Patrick McMullen. That's Debbie Harry from Blonde.
Yeah.
She's a longtime peer and a friend, and just to look at her face, she's like half disgusted, half admiring. I love it. What's a lipstick mark on my face? Those
what are you wearing? Yeah, Michael, what are you wearing? What is the headpiece?
It's sort of a guy named Manolo, and he did these very inventive things with like straw sticking out. And so I bunched my curly locks and put them off to the side. I actually think this is one of my better looks. And I love that Debbie and I are both doing like a two-tone hair thing.
I love it.
It's magical. This kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, this is RuPaul.
Yes.
We would hang out all the time. She came in from Atlanta with others and just dominated the club scene. She was fabulous.
Uh-huh.
That's James St. James. He was a friend of mine. He says that I mentored him.
It says that
this is by Stefan Lapino. That's James St. James. He and I were asked by Stefan Lapino to do this like half nude spread. Stefan loved to go like, take that off. And he made you feel like you were posing for Penthouse magazine or something. So it was all very sexy and fun. And then James kind of jumped me for Michael Alley, but we're friends again.
Oh my God, these are so cool.
Oh, this is another one of my crazy parties. This is at Club USA. So here you have on the left Quentin Crisp, who's the wonderful.
Love.
You have Gary Coleman. He was the guest of honor.
Oh my God.
From Different Strokes.
Yeah.
And he was a doll. I loved him. And then you have
a lot of parties, Gary. A lot of them.
Yeah, he enjoyed this party. He got a lot of attention. That was Sylvia Miles, two-time Oscar nominee. And then that was called P.S. Betty Davis. Randy Allen, he played post-stroke Betty Davis. And he nabbed the way she talked, like never, the way she would lean on certain vowels. He was a brilliant Betty Davis after the stroke. This is the kind of twisted culture clash you could only find.
I love it. See, again, everybody was so creative, would come up with these very creative. I love that.
The ball, that's the one I was telling you
favorite.
about. It's my favorite one of you. They ran that in celebrities, New York celebrities in the 80s and 90s on Facebook. They ran that.
This isn't a new book. It's a photo book by Steve Eichner.
I so love this picture.
Called In the Limelight. And this is at my John Wayne Bobbitt party. If you notice, I'm wearing an outfit made of headlines about John Wayne Bobbitt, and I'm wearing a necklace of raw hot dogs.
I didn't even notice that. I'm going to have to blow that one up. I didn't know. I only saw the yellow balls.
I'm in a bunch of yellow balls. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. The theme of nightlife then, and then the creativity that would come along like this. That is brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, I was in there for 3 weeks, actually. They had to fish me out of there. And I had eaten the hot dogs.
How did they do that? With a fishing rod?
Of course. This was for Gay Letter magazine, which, those two great guys do Gay Letter. They've been doing it for years. Mm-hmm. And I just like it because it's very retouched.
I love it. It's a really good picture. I love it. It captures your personality.
Absolutely.
I just think it's like almost handsome. It's not like the troll that I see myself as, but I think there's quite a bit of photoshopping there at work. We did this one already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's
we have the trivia card, I think.
Here we go.
There.
Oh, that's James again. That's me and James just at some crazy nightclub, and you see Michael Alec, lower left, looking like the bad seed in cha-cha heels.
He was the bad.
You can see the diversity of people. It's a fun, crazy mix of
people.
When I think of the clubs in the 80s and 90s, that is what I think of. Is that just that wide range of creativity and fun.
And I look at some of my outfits, I'm like, I really had nerve. That's Andy Warhol, of course, who was the father of us all. And that's the cover of my book from the 80s, Downtown. That was a nonfiction book. And what I loved about Andy, you could just say, could you hold up my cover of my book for a photo? And he did, Patrick.
More than happy to.
I think I added another photo there where you're behind him. And while he's doing that, we'll see. It should be coming out.
Also, Andy is blurbed on the cover. He gave me a wonderful blurb. He was just a lovely person. This is Brooke Shields and Julia Sweeney, who was Pat on Saturday Night Live. Remember Pat?
Oh my God, Pat from Saturday Night Live. Loved it. There's
the one with Andy and you behind him. Yeah.
Yeah, this is on a New Year's Eve, and I went over to chat with Andy. I didn't even know he was wearing a wig. That's how naive I am.
That's naive.
This is me and my mother at my graduation party for college, and I'm wearing a leisure suit, which causes brain damage.
Yeah.
And my mother is dressed like Dame Edna, don't you think? She's very Dame Edna.
Yes.
That's a very cool shot.
But that's a wonderful memory there.
If I look unhappy, it's because I really was. I had no idea what I was going to do after graduating. This is years later at Tavern on the Green. It was an anniversary party I threw for my parents. And
that's wonderful.
It's just a nice moment. Yeah.
Beautiful shot.
Uh-huh.
And I gave my father that tie. That's my taste in tie. My favorite actor of all time is Patty Duke. I just love her.
I love Patty Duke.
Miracle Worker, Patty Duke Show, Valley of the Dolls, you name it.
Yeah. The Patty Duke
Show. Twice. And she was enchanting. And this is when I said, I have an album of you singing the songs from Valley of the Dolls, because she was dubbed in the movie. And she said, I can't sing a note. She said, I cannot sing a note. This was like a layout for an invitation to be with my lady, Diana Ross. I got to meet her in the 80s on the Intrepid. It was a party for her. And I was like, how am I going to get up the nerve to talk to my idol? And she came over and said, hi, I'm Diana Ross.
Oh, my God.
I said, I know.
Yeah,
and, on top, you have Sylvia Miles again. And then the middle is David Bowie, who I also idolized. And this was the height of his gorgeous subversion. He was so exciting. And the bottom is one of my first performing gigs. It was at the Mud Club, which was a new wave answer to Studio 54 in Tribeca.
The Mud Club.
That's Nona Hendricks from LaBelle, Patti LaBelle, Sarah Dash, and
sweet. Yeah, because Diana Ross has always been your number one, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, she just sparkles. If you kind of drew blood from her, it would be glitter.
Sparkling blood.
But she also has pathos. And she, as good as Andra Day is in the new movie, Diana Ross did Lady Sings the Blues. She was Oscar nominated for playing Billie Holiday, and she was brilliant. And she always sings the Billie Holiday songs in concert. She has the pathos. It's not all glitter. She's got it all.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I love
I've stalked her my entire life. I was at a press conference for Junk the Musical.
Yes.
Today after the movie.
I thank you so much. I thank you so much for doing that. And you were sick as a dog that night.
I was, but I never missed a chance to be on stage. And,
And you never let them see you sweat. I remember you did that. The whole panel.
Yeah,
It was great that
so
night.
So grateful. And again, I did not realize just how sick you were that night.
And I loved the movie. I'm so glad I went and dragged myself out of my sick bed and saw it. I loved it. And we had a fun Q&A. Michael Penny.
Yep, Michael Penny. Yep. He wrote and directed it.
Michael Penny's in our chat too. Hello, Michael Penny. Hey.
That was a fun night. This lady, my other lady, Bianca Del Rio. I love this bitch.
She's brilliant.
What
this
a quick moment.
In 2017, there was a celebrity roast of me at the Actors Table. It was a benefit for Callan Lord, and Bianca was one of the performers. She was brilliant. And it was just a great, great night.
Oh, it was. That was magical. I mean, everybody came out. You had Bruce Valanche and
Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Rainbow. And, so
everybody. Frank DeCaro was there, and it was amazing night. Oh,
Joan.
Well, that's my lady, and that's the party I had in 2010. It was hosted by Joan and Michael Urie, and it was on the roof of 230 Fifth Avenue. It was a 2-level party, and it was extravagant. It was just extraordinary. She was so sweet to host. She got on stage and said, "Village Voice, give Michael Musto a raise." And I was then laid off.
And there we go. I love that.
This is the new Mod Squad. That's Mickey Boydman from Paper. That's Lynn Yeager from Vogue, and that's me. And I love this photograph.
I do too.
Great.
It's so that the three of you're like the three amigos. You're just you three have been best friends for so many years, and I love that.
Tweedledee. Yeah.
Tweedledoo and Tweedledum.
Don't ask which is which.
Does it matter? They're interchangeable.
We're so chic.
Here we go.
Oh, this is a Jeff Eason photo.
I love it.
Here, the Cherry Jubilee gathers last year's Glam Award winners and does photo shoots. And this was a grouping of me, Reefy Royalty, and Ari Kiki. So it was just pure fun.
You've had how many Glam Awards?
Oh my God.
And you got the Legend one too. How many have you had, Michael? It's like 7?
8 if you count the Legend, but I don't know really who's counting, really.
Right.
But yeah, Cherry just keeps it going. She did it online this year. It was
did a great job online.
Yeah, she really has. Well, that I think is our slideshow. That was the word I was looking for earlier.
Slideshow. Yeah. Yay!
Emma's losing track of words. It's really, I'm very concerned.
Words, time, space.
It's that COVID brain.
We do the best we
blame
can.
everything on the COVID. Yes.
But speaking of awards, I mean, you haven't just got Glam Awards. There are Get Out Awards.
Yeah.
I mean, can you name some of the awards? Just name them.
Oh, it started in the 90s with Jackie 60 would have awards every year.
I love it.
Jackie 60 was a club that ran all through the 90s. And Johnny Dynell. It was so fabulous.
It was great.
Yeah. Glams, Get Out Awards, Odyssey. Remember Odyssey?
Of course,
Odyssey
remember
Awards.
It, yeah.
Every one of them, it would seem like it was always Michael Musto.
Is there a wall? You didn't have this hanging on a wall?
I have them all on my shelf. I really do. I treasure them.
But now also like award shows, you're amazing at predictions, like the Oscars and like this year's, like say for the Tonys, the best Zoom reading of a play or musical will go to.
I love that.
Well, I did badly with the Golden Globes because I predicted Trial of the Chicago 7 for Best Picture. I did not predict Andra Day. I predicted Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. I thought she was extraordinary. And I hope the Oscar. And I didn't predict Jodie Foster to win. I predicted Amanda Seyfried for Mank. So I got it wrong, but did okay.
But those are the Golden Globes now.
Yeah, but the Oscars. I want to hear your predictions for the Oscars.
My predictions are Chicago 7 for Picture, actress Carey Mulligan, actor the late Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah.
Supporting Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. Supporting actress Amanda Seyfried for Mank.
Wow. Nobody,
I love that.
Nobody is.
But I can still change it. It's not till March. It's not till April. It's not till
Yeah,
April.
it's not till, but no one's picking Frances McDormand. I thought Nomadland was incredible. I thought she did an amazing job. I'm
She was
surprised.
incredible. The only reason is she's won twice. There's never been an actress to win 3 Best Actress.
Right, it's a number.
If she did, that would be fine. She's very deserving.
Brilliant. Really, really brilliant.
So what about like the Tonys? Because there hasn't been like any.
Well, the weird thing is they had the nominations and they're voting now. The voters are voting, but they have not announced when the actual awards are.
Is this from last year?
Yeah, it's from like last February. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
remember Moulin Rouge? Remember Jagged Little Pill?
Yeah. Wait, who was in that? What?
Everything is
Yeah.
all screwed up with the time and everything. We're in what I call the pandemic time, you know.
But here's the thing: they want to do the awards when Broadway is on again because the Tonys are a commercial for Broadway. They don't want to just give honors; they want it to be like, "Come see this show; it's on."
Right.
And they want to show numbers from the shows. So whether it's this fall or whenever, they'll do it. And obviously, Moulin Rouge is going to win Best Musical. Best play is between Slave Play and The Inheritance.
Now, with Broadway returning, because I mean, I have a feeling it'll be kind of a creep in, like where it'll be at maybe 25% or something. But do you think, are they going to have like virtual viewing as well, like maybe a certain amount? Or do you think there will be a combination of the two? Or
I mean, to me, that's not theater. The whole point of theater.
I agree. Is being in that room.
Yeah, they can't call it theater. There are already a lot of virtual events that are theater related, but I think it'll start hopefully when they just say, "Boom, everybody come." That's what I hope they started. Let's not do the 25%. You need an audience. Some of these shows only get 25% anyway. So let's pack in as many people.
That would give them 5 people in the audience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, crazy.
Also, how am I going to get my comp tickets if they're limiting the number of tickets?
Yeah, that's right.
Michael, I don't know how much time we have, but I need to ask you this. You were very involved with what happened with Michael Ehrlich. You wrote quite a bit about it. Can you talk about that? Was Angel a friend of yours?
I can't say I knew Angel very well, but I did know Michael Ehrlich very well. And I wrote about him every step of the way. And I would always veer between celebrating that he kind of made a family for these kind of disenfranchised gay kids, but also criticizing him because from the beginning, he wasn't just refreshingly bohemian, but he was also kind of a little scary.
He was scary.
Well, I mean, I like the way he would kick society in the pants and try to ruffle up attention, but he also would kind of go overboard. And through the years, you would see him kind of, as there were fewer and fewer boundaries, he would go more and more over the edge. But he died on Christmas Day.
This year, it was, yeah.
So a lot of people had a happy Christmas.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but I can't lie. I did know him, and I did appreciate what was good about him.
Right.
That's good.
Cool.
I just have to say that you have made it. You were on Trivial Pursuit has a question.
Right.
Can you expound on that?
Talk about that.
Well, Cynthia Heimel is the one who said you're in Trivial Pursuit. I bought the board game and I sat at a screening, and as everyone's watching the movie, I'm quietly looking to find my name. That's what kind of a press whore I was. Turns out I bought the wrong edition of the game. But in any case, the question says, what movie with Barbra Streisand did Michael Musto, the critic, famously review with one word? Mental. And it's MENTL.
Like Yentl, mental.
And the answer is nuts.
Nuts. Yeah.
Nuts? You have to flip the card to get the answer. To me, I thought that, and also being spoofed twice on Saturday Night Live when they did parodies of the Gossip Show, means kind of you've arrived on some level.
That's so cool. Absolutely. Well, I just absolutely love and adore you, firstly. And I'm telling you, we have had so much fun together in so many, I mean, we'd make runs to Fire Island, to the Hamptons, to you're on every red carpet at
remember Brooke Shields in the Hamptons.
That was so funny because you didn't have your glasses on, and we were staying at an outdoor cafe, and this SUV rolls up in front of us, and somebody's going, Michael. And you go, who is that? I can't see. And I'm like, that's Brooke Shields.
Hi, bro.
It's hi, bro. I'm
Sad.
like, okay, such is the life of Michael Musto.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
I love
this
you
is so great.
very
Michael, can
much.
you just quickly yell out the columns that you do now? I know I subscribe to Queer Tea because of you.
I do a monthly column on Queer Tea called Read Now, Cry Later. My last one is all about pubic hair. So I cover all the really important issues.
That's right.
I write monthly for ChelseaCommunityNews.com. I'm on Twitter, Mikey Musto.
Right.
I'm on Facebook. You can follow me. I also have a fan page. And on Instagram, Musto184.
Cool.
Well, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely love and adore you, and we appreciate you taking the time. Don't go anywhere. We'll have you come back in a second.
Yep.
So,
and thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Be safe, be well. Come down to Pangea. We've got a new bar menu. Tim and I are here. What could be better?
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
these
everyone.
walls could talk.